What is up? What is good? The Wolf is here, and this is another Let's Talk. This one is going to be on RNG overuse. Now, what is RNG? To begin this off, the definition of RNG is, this is the technical definition of it, is RNG is a game term that is an acronym for random number generator. Random number generators are algorithms used in computing when an outcome needs to be as random as possible. Now, in basic terms, that means associating items with random numbers to get a random outcome for players. In most cases, this is used in the form of loot drops, boxes, packs, cards, etc. And is used to give players a random item for doing challenges, hitting milestones, or simply sometimes just logging into the game servers. That's when you get them daily login bonuses. The modern day DLC content drop, So now before, you blow your voice out yelling at the screen, that's the shit I hate. I feel like the definition of RNG is only part of the problem with the overuse that is happening in modern day gaming. To get into this, I wanted to go over the goods and the bads of both the business side and the gaming side of all this stuff. So first category up, the bad, we're going to start with that. The business side, the bad business side of RNG in modern day gaming. So some developers have been forced by publishers, namely EA, Activision, Take-Two, to implement, that's just examples. There's a lot more of them that do it too. Those are just like the biggest example companies out there. Now they are forcing developers to implement an RNG system as a microtransaction tool. You've heard all about that stuff. You've seen it in a lot of different games nowadays. In cases creating a real-world gambling method of unlocking virtual in-game content. Now, those gambling methods have gotten companies such as, for example, EA and Hot Water, with governments around the world over gambling laws in those certain countries. Especially when gambling is illegal in those parts of the world. It's also created a sort of overall disdain by the gaming community towards some of those companies and developer studios that are owned by those publishers. So developers are getting pretty much pooped on by the gaming community because the publishers are making the developers add a certain feature that maybe they might not even want to add into the game. Now, on the gaming side of this, we're still in the bads. The gaming side of this, the game upgrade systems that rely fully on RNG, pay-to-win structure, and knowing RNG used to upgrade in-game characters and stats and abilities. So I have played a number of games with all that type of stuff just blasted into the game. So I'm talking games like Need for Speed, Payback especially, WWE and NBA, the 2K series games. Those are two main ones I know about and play a lot. And then, of course, a lot of the free-to-play games, which that's kind of a different case scenario with the RNG stuff, but it's still underneath the same umbrella. So just any game that implements a version of the mobile game style, the RNG unlock format, to be put front and center into these games that are trying to be AAA budget games and everything. So this makes earning valuables or desirable items so tough that sometimes you feel like you never get those items. I had moments in Division 2 where I wanted to get new clothing items for my character and I just couldn't get the random RNG drops to actually happen at all. It wasn't until Ubisoft actually patched the game and then I started getting those items to drop regularly, actually. So it's like they do the number of variables, and then boom, you start seeing the items pop up. To go way back even further, the knife skins that dropped in CSGO. You have the little wheel that goes around, and then boom, the skin drops on there for your knife. People are paying outrageous money for all that stuff. You can sell them and this and that, and we already know the websites that popped up over all that stuff and everything, praying to RNGesus and all that. And then also a big one that I will always remember in gaming is weapon variants in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. The weapon variants that had the better stats than the normal version of the guns, but you had to go through RNG loot boxes to get those weapon variants. That's the worst type of RNG placement in gaming that can happen. We still see it now, even though we've been complaining about this for years. Recently, in recent memory, something happened in WWE 2K19. Again, 2K adding all this stuff in their sports games. A lot of sports games have been adding this stuff in. Where I wanted a certain item to customize my wrestling entrance and the moveset in the story mode. Outside of story mode, this wasn't so prevalent, but in the story mode, the RNG wouldn't drop the item because they all drop on a little card because you get a little card pack and whatnot. And the RNG wouldn't drop the card that I needed. So I couldn't actually unlock it. I couldn't even earn it in game. I had to wait for RNG to actually drop the item. So then I could actually implement it into the story mode. So dumb. I can't just earn the thing. Another very prevalent one that is in somewhat recent memory was Injustice 2. So even NetherRealm Studio has done this in the past in just the worst way possible. Injustice 2, where I wanted to get the bow staff for Robin instead of being able to earn it, no, I had to wait for an RNG loot box, which still to this day has never dropped for me. Even after hours of gameplay, I don't know, maybe a little over 100 matches online, hundreds of matches in the offline stuff, trying to go through towers and unlock all that stuff, and it still has not dropped. Easily hundreds of loot boxes I've gotten in the game. No Robin bow staff. I can't play that version of the character because I didn't get a RNG drop for that weapon type. Dumb. So one more instance, and one of the biggest games in the world, Apex Legends. Now I have earned a fair share amount of items through the loot box system in Apex to make my characters look cool. The biggest gripe in that aspect is just this feeling of not getting all the season pass items that I feel like I've earned, just because I didn't spend money on the season pass. Now, this is different than RNG, but at the same time, it's like, so they're using RNG to pad over the top to keep players interested on top of a season pass that you have to pay money for. And then you can also kind of gamble away your real world cash, IRL money, on virtual currency to buy more of these loot boxes that you can actually just earn. So it's this toss up gamble of one way or the other playing the game. And I get it. It's free to play. That's how they make their money and everything, which I will get to that later on in the discussion. But it just feels really rough the way that specifically Apex is handling it. There are other games like, say, Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Now, on the other hand, these games do a great job of letting you collect everything that you feel that you've earned. You can pay for an item or you can earn it, either which way you want to go with it. So you can either buy the virtual currency and actually just buy the thing, or you can earn the loot box and try and get the item. I think this is a better way of implementing RNG. So, it's still, they do still have the gambling style RNG built into the system, but they still have also a way of kind of earning it through going through the loot box phase of, trying to make it drop. Will you ever see the items drop in that RNG loot box phase? Maybe, possibly, through all the matches that you do, you might get the items that you want, but for the most part, you usually just end up dropping, you have to drop like $10 on the game to end up, actually getting it. And these are $60 games. Like, these are not, you don't have to pay $60 for Siege, of course, but Black Ops 4 is absolutely $60. And they still have this system that is made for basically free-to-play games implemented into it. But I will say that in the kind of AAA big budget games, I have noticed that the RNG stuff it's prevalent, but it's also kind of pushed back. So the earning part of stuff it's pushed back behind that stuff, but it's still there prevalent of, like, Siege, for instance. Every time you win a match, you go over to the packs and you have the little dial-up thing that goes around and you possibly get that pack. So it's still there. It's just kind of hidden, but it's still a gamble. Okay, so now on the flip side of things, I will go into the goods of RNG. On the business side, RNG loot boxes, as much as you might hate them, It makes for an easy way to bring in funding for game developers to keep a game alive and updated. It also pays for the hours of hard work and dedication of the game developers. Because of those two factors, we have a ton more content flowing through the games than ever before. The modern day of gaming has a ridiculous amount of content that goes through it, especially shooters, loot shooters and everything. There's so many events and seasons and tiers and loot drops and just like server side stuff that you can actually unlock and grab off from RNG. It's ridiculous nowadays. It's hard to even keep up with a lot of these games. If you play more than just like 2 shooters online, you have to play them nonstop and play nothing else, or you can't keep up with it. There's so much content, which is great. And it definitely the paying for the loot boxes inherently makes more content come through, just because you have more profits and funding to make more content. It's the way business works. Now on the game side, the goods of the game side, the hype and excitement is real when it comes to getting and opening loot boxes. Now, when used right and only for cosmetic items that don't affect gameplay in any way, shape, or form, it can be rewarding and exciting opening up a cosmetic item that you were eyeing to buy with in-game currency, but then you just get it in a loot box, and it's like, oh, that's awesome! I just got that. Now, this excitement can also take a game from just being to very addicting at the same time, in a sense of, the RNG is handing you items quick enough that, you keep coming back for that one more match. Oh, if I do one more match, I might get that loot box to get that item. Let's keep going. Injustice 2, Mortal Kombat, a lot of the fighting games have been doing this. Advanced Warfare again. Black Ops 4 kind of really does that also, although it's more on the lines of that you're earning stuff. Every once in a while, you can go through and get the challenges on Black Ops 4, like the little black market challenges that they got on there, and you can actually you can earn the loot box and get all that stuff, but yeah, I don't know. There's something exciting about getting a loot box and getting that one item that looks really cool, or something that you didn't know you wanted. You get it in the loot box and you're like, that was pretty cool. All right, awesome. Now, on the flip side, I also feel that being able to earn the items in game can be even more fulfilling and rewarding, just in the fact that you see a goal, you're setting that goal. I'm going to work towards that goal. I just got that goal completed. Now I bought the item. Now it's in there. Everybody can see it. I can show off. It's that excitement versus that feeling of earning something. And I think that is something that is kind of like, it's this weird weighed out option for game developers. Like, which way do you want to go with it and everything? It's that, I just earned that. I just beat the challenge. I earned that, versus, hey, I just got lucky and got that. I think earning it is so much more. It's so much more, I don't know, uplifting or whatever. Maybe that's a little too, meh. But it's definitely, that feeling is there. Now, I can't talk RNG without bringing up the biggest new genre to hit gaming in the past decade, and that genre is, of course, Battle Royale. Battle Royale, or BR for short, is a quintessential RNG game mode that has both revolutionized multiplayer gaming and brought forth the RNG loot box craze. Now, BR, Battle Royale, whether you love it or whether you hate it, it's brought in a different way of doing shooters online. It's a more addicting thing than just the traditional multiplayer modes like TDM and Domination. You're not just running from spawn point to spawn point killing people. You are actually having to, every single game, get the good loot. Now, the RNG possibility of never finding good items in a match versus possibly finding the best setup ever while the ring is closing in on you and you don't know where the other opponents are, it's one of the newest, most addicting game modes in memory. It's absolutely a perfect blend of risks, rewards, and essentially luck-based gameplay, which is, to me, what RNG does best. That's probably one of the things that it would be best used for going forward in gaming, is something that is like on the fly RNG. I'd like that kind of a of an idea. Way more than, okay, I did 10 matches, I get this loot box, and oh hey, I got an item. On the fly RNG, just it makes you think, it makes you hope and pray that you're gonna get that good item, or you're just gonna get screwed up in the game. Of course, also, if you haven't tried a BR game and you don't really know what I'm talking about, definitely go and check out like Apex Legends or something. It can be a little rough at first to get into, but once you actually like figure out just that excitement of like, oh, I have a really good setup versus I have nothing right now and I'm trying to survive, that survival aspect really comes into play, and it makes for a very cool time. So how would I fix the problems that we have right now with RNG? So no more RNG based upgrades in gaming. Leave stats and all that stuff. Only make cosmetic items for RNG. Only cosmetic items. If it affects gameplay mechanics, like your stats on guns, move sets like Injustice 2 with the Robin staff, Need for Speed where it affects the stats on your car, upgrading your characters such as, like I said, the WWE thing or NBA or even the Madden or UFC, like any stats wise, move sets, gameplay, anything, do not add RNG to it. It just makes everything 10 times tougher to actually enjoy the game. And, this is entertainment. This is supposed to be about enjoyment, not making money. I know that businesses want to make money. I get it. You want to just get that cash flow going, but I feel like people will enjoy and play the games a lot more if you don't have the RNG loot box craze just snuffing out the fun. GTA, I think, does a pretty good job at showing. I mean, it is the best-selling game of all time, or best-selling entertainment piece of media ever, and it's not plagued by RNG. There's not really too much in the way of loot box stuff. It's just one hell of a time trying to earn cash in that game. So it's way more about earning than it is just getting lucky unlocking stuff, and that game has a lot more attention on it than just your everyday run-of-the-mill RNG loot shooter loot fiasco. So one of the big points I really want to make in this video is just tone down RNG aspects and just let us earn in-game items and upgrades. That was a method that was never broken, but for some reason was redesigned, and I know it's basically just for the money effect. But I think it's really left a nasty little scar on people's trust of like game developers, and it's too bad that is a thing, because it's not. I don't feel like it's always the developer's fault. It's a lot of times the publisher's fault because they want to make more money off from the product before the next version of the product comes out. It's just something that the developers get stuck with of, okay, add RNG or we're not going to fund your product. And it's like, well, they have to do that or they go under and you don't have any more of the series or the franchise, left. Now, like I said, on the fly RNG. So what I mean by that, such as we see in the battle royale genre, that's a fun tool. Like I said, so one thing I feel like developers could figure out more is how to utilize that on the fly RNG. Making random stuff happen in the middle of gameplay using the RNG mechanic. So a random number generator mixed in with game moments that are happening, so you don't always have just pre-scripted game moments happening. You walk down the hallway, the sound thing hits, the thing jumps out of the wall, a jump scare happens or something like that. Imagine RNG being used along with the RTX, along with the ray tracing and all that stuff, and you mix all that random happenings all together. Imagine how much more you could just squeeze out of gameplay elements with that. Also, like say you're playing a war game, and instead of the canned animation of boom, 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 run down the street, boom, shoot, 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 RNG where you don't know where the enemies are going to spawn. You don't know where that next explosion is going to happen. Would it take a lot more on the developer side? Absolutely. They would have to figure out how to make all this stuff work, but it is doable. In this next generation of consoles and PC, it is doable. Next generation of PC, I mean like the next hardware cycle. is definitely doable to make RNG a gameplay mechanic, not a just luck based loot dropper. I feel like it's kind of like selling out with the luck based loot dropper mechanic of RNG, and not just like, implement it in different ways. I will say this, I don't mind RNG if it's implemented the right way, but I do think that we have a ways to go of making it more bearable. And certainly when it comes to, like I said, upgrades and all that stuff, I really hope that that developers get a little more leeway of working with RNG. And maybe some developers, just go against the grain and try and implement it into the gameplay. Like I said, on the fly RNG over the top of luck based. That'd be a lot cooler. So, anyways, if you have any comments to say about RNG, you can leave them on Twitter at Warwolf, and I will definitely see it. Try and get back to you. Maybe we can start up a little bit of a Twitter thread discussing all this stuff, and who knows? Then maybe the developers will see it, publishers also. And maybe we can get some changes made. I think Twitter is a very powerful tool, so let's try and use it to make changes for the better in the entertainment mediums that we know and love. So, with that being said, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. You can subscribe to the channels. I am streaming all the time on Twitch and whatnot, so if you come over there and hit that follow button, I'll give you a shout out. And check out Twitter for all new videos coming soon. But that's it for now. Until next time. See ya next time.